Hi everyone, thanks for coming in. Today we are privileged to have Sharna Mitra. She is from US, entrepreneur, author, strategy consultant, one of the LinkedIn influencer. But something which really amazed me is her venture called 1 million by 1 million, which is world's first virtual accelerator. And the idea is to have 1 million entrepreneurs. 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in revenue. So we are privileged to have her today, and I invite if you can come and start your session.
Hello everybody, welcome to today's TRI session. I believe you're all working very hard to boost up the Calcutta entrepreneurship scene. Before we start the presentations, I will listen to your pitches and give you feedback, but I'll tell you one story. When I first started my first company, this is my fourth company, 1 million by 1 million is my fourth company. When I started my first company, I had a Calcutta operation, and it was right here on this floor of SDF building. I haven't been here in 20 years. So in a way I couldn't recognize anything because at the time there was nothing here, absolutely nothing. To the extent we operated without a telephone line for 3 months. The first 3 months of operating out of SDF building was without a telephone line. We had to create our own bus service because there was no transportation here. There was no food. It was kind of the boonies, the very beginning of Calcutta's forays into the information technology industry. So it's wonderful for me to see that the region in 20 years has made a lot of progress. I'm sure you're all thinking that this is not the level of progress that you wanted to see. You wanted to see Bangalore level progress or Hyderabad level progress, but nonetheless, I see a lot of progress that wasn't there when I first came here. So, what we're going to do today is, I believe we have 5 entrepreneurs who are scheduled to pitch. So I'll work with each of you. I will listen to your pitches and I will give you feedback on how, what on your strategy, on your pitch and so forth. And then we'll do some Q&A. So you can ask me questions about anything that you are struggling with. This is what I say, some of you may have joined our 1 million by 1 million roundtables, the free roundtables that happen online. I always say it's a safe working session. So you don't need to be nervous, you don't need to be defensive. My goal, however, is to give you honest, direct feedback. I'm not going to sugarcoat my feedback. And I'll just tell you another story before we start. I was on a panel some time ago, it must have been a few years ago, in Silicon Valley. And during the Q&A session, somebody stood up and said, "Ma'am, my friend pitched to you at a 1 million by 1 million roundtable, and you made him cry." I'm like, "I didn't make him cry. I gave him feedback." So expect that you will get direct feedback. Expect that you will potentially get feedback that you were not expecting, perhaps. But it is to help you grow, and it is to help you make progress. All right? Shall we start? So, can you please bring up the slides? But can you put it on a full screen now? All right. So I already told you. So one thing I want to also mention is this. Not all businesses can raise money. So for those of you who are zeroing in on the idea that you need to raise money right away, number one thing that you need to take away from today's session is that not all businesses can raise money, not all businesses should raise money. Raising money does not equal to success. And in general, philosophy-wise, we prefer that you bootstrap first and raise money later. So if you are familiar with my work, you know I harp on this constantly. Sudip Kumar Mukherjee, go ahead. Can I sit here? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everybody, and good evening, ma'am, for giving us the opportunity to present my company. It is called Element Financial. Next slide.
So, whenever clicker.
Yeah. This one. Company has established in the year 2016 March, headquartered at Calcutta. We are a fintech with utility payments and BFSI services. We are a mobile and web aggregated for retail touchpoint, where we provide B2B touchpoints for the B2C clients. We have a revenue model and it is operational for last 2 years. We have as on date 1820 touchpoints as on July 2019. Team strength is around 38 employees, they are active employees. Annual revenue last year was 1.2 CR. Annual GMV was 23.09 crores for 2018-19. CAGR is around 37.18 and CAGR quarter on quarter was around 80% for 2018-19. Total number of annual transactions is 1.45 lakhs in 2018-19. Again, CAGR month on month was 23.61 and CAGR on quarter was 37.18%. Basically, there was a huge gap in eastern part of India comparison to other parts of India, where there is a very less equivalence to zero startup in eastern part of India. So, Element target segment in eastern India in 15 states, but we are presently recruiting. Element is servicing strugglers, next billion, aspirers, affluent in eastern India, in urban, semi-urban and rural regions through the retail touchpoints. But though we have mentioned here urban and semi-urban, but major presence is our in rural parts of India. Population, 66% of Indian population is rural. For educated rural, the unemployment rate is 17.3%. And out of 6 lakh villages, 30,000 has ATM services. Penetration of financial and other services, world's second largest unbanked population, 190 million after China. Life insurance penetration in India is 2.76% as on financial year 2018. Non-life insurance penetration is less than 1%, is 0.93%. A billion adults who have an account still pay utility bill in cash. Internet and connectivity is a very internal part of our services. A billion users, but India still has 43,000 villages without mobile connectivity. 2/3 of unbanked adults have a mobile phone and 16% smartphone users in rural India. This provides a huge scope for our services. The mission and vision of our company is bridge the digital divide and provide the basic services to the rural hinterland. Create the last mile linkages to ensure delivery of basic utility services, financial services, e-governance services, banking and financial inclusion services. The vision: create a sustainable service delivery model through which basic utility and financial services could be reached to the last mile. Sustainable delivery model ensured through technological innovation and a sustainable livelihood model and capability building in the total value chain. This is the thing which we believe in this. Element business model. We are a single wallet multiple services concept where we have 32 partners to offer all utility, banking, financial and other services through our wallet services. To name a few, Yes Bank, IRCTC, Jio, Tata Sky, Reliance Rail, it is every day and every month it is increasing. Single technology platform enabling retail touch points through the mobile app to access, they provide all services to the end customers on the app. Utility, banking, all services are through mobile and as well as desktop version.
Shudip,
Yeah.
can you stop for a second and
Yeah.
ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
So, based on what you're describing, you have a wallet.
Correct.
How are you going to market with this wallet? For example, is Jio distributing your wallet?
No. Basically, we are a aggregator which has tied up all telecom providers DTH services through API,
Okay.
where the retailers are using our wallet, where it's a single wallet and multiple services. Suppose I am a retailer, you are coming to my shop. Maybe your requirement is a PAN card, maybe a recharge, maybe a banking transaction. Through a single wallet, I can do multiple transactions based on customer needs. Previously, what was happening? It was only a telecom dealer. For that, he or she has to make a wallet of around 10,000 or 5,000 as per the company norms, where he is having booked that 5,000 rupees. For telecom, 5,000. For DTH recharge, another 2,000. For a small retailer to have this kind of and this bouquet of services, it has to have around 40 to 50,000 of blockage of their amount.
Yeah.
Maybe a customer coming to my shop asking for an air ticket. Maybe on that time.
So that's all very well.
Yeah.
How does a consumer get to know about your wallet? That's my key question.
Okay.
Since you have partnerships through API with all these different service
Correct.
providers, that your wallet is able to handle all the transactions.
Okay.
But how does a rural consumer or an urban consumer, whatever, get on your wallet?
Basically, in rural part of India, which is different from urban part. In rural part, if I am having a kirana shop, maybe a customer is coming to my shop, maybe for some other services, like for a kirana store, he can buy some chawal, dal, anything. But there was an advertisement in the form of coding there, glossine board is there. What are the services we provide? It is clearly mentioned over there. At the same time, we are doing Facebook marketing, we are doing LinkedIn, lot of services we are providing for acquiring the customers. Not the customer, the retail touch points.
So your customer acquisition and revenues
Our customer acquisition is different. Our customer acquisition is acquiring the retail touch points who are in return servicing the customers.
Okay.
So we are acquiring the retail touch points.
That's my question.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I asked you.
Yeah.
Is Jio distributing your wallet?
Jio is not distributing my wallet. We have taken an API integration where we have got the recharge services in our wallet. Suppose a customer is coming to a shop and putting his Jio number and making the amount of service 149, 399 based on the plans he want to, he can recharge from there and there.
So
Jio is not promoting our brand.
no,
Jio
but
is-
none of your retailer partners are promoting your brand. You are promoting your brand yourself. You're
Yes.
acquiring customers yourself.
Correct.
So then the question that is critical in that scenario is unit economics.
Correct.
What is the customer acquisition cost? And what is the lifetime value of the customer? How much is this a profitable customer? And how do you make it a profitable customer?
To start with customer acquisition cost. See, we are having our distributor channel which is there in rural part of India. We have acquired these distributors doing various seminars in the rural part, giving them an income opportunity. At the same time, to fulfill all the basic needs. Suppose I am giving you a small example. We are working in the states of Bankura, which is very rural part of India, where we are having the banking services. This was in the month of March 2019. So one of my distributor, he has brought in around 6 to 8 distributors through his reference. So whenever they are in an interaction, they are asking me, they are giving a question, sir, why don't you distribute medicine? Because in rural part of India, distribution of medicine is a huge scarcity. And at the same time, the discounts you are talking about 15%, 20%, which we see in the paper or in the channels, it is not available here.
Yeah.
So what we have done there, we have done a tie-up with 1mg and the Netmates to provide the services to their retail touchpoints.
Yeah.
By this way, the number of services we acquire every month are new services. Like last month we have acquired white label services, white label ATM services, where we provide the white label ATM to rural part of India, where the ATM is zero. Maybe next 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers there is no ATM. So for withdrawing the cash, they need to travel around 15-20 kilometers through a bus, through a tracker, where the cost is too high. So this way we are acquiring.
So I think I understand your business. Scalability is something that you should think about.
Yes, we are.
And in addressing scalability, the kinds of questions I would ask, and these are questions you should ask yourselves,
Definitely.
is where is the bulk of the revenue coming from? What is the bulk of the transaction? What is the type of the bulk of the transaction? Which retailer is generating the maximum amount of revenues? What use case is generating the maximum amount of revenues? And then you need to figure out what is the customer acquisition strategy that will drive more of that kind of business. So that's, instead of going broad and trying to cover the entire portfolio of services that any customer is going to look for that sounds all very well, but from your business point of view, you're going to really need to drive through where the revenue is going really well.
Yes.
But it's very good, you're far along, and that's very, very good.
Thank you.
Good work.
Yeah. For revenue model, if I am just sharing revenue model, we have recently got a corporate license in the year December 2018.
Yeah.
And again, insurance is a major revenue booster for any business. We have got some unique policies for the rural part of India. Like for example, giving a life cover of around 1 lakh for amounting to 35 rupees.
Yeah.
Group accidental policy for 5 lakh, less than 400 rupees, and equivalent to 1 rupee a day. These all are services which we are developing and coming up every month to the services.
Yeah. So all this is very well. I'm going to wrap up your presentation and go to the next one, but I'm going to give you some general points here that I am, taking away from this presentation, and this is going to apply to many of you. And I've seen this over and over in the work that I do in coaching entrepreneurs. There is a tendency for entrepreneurs to build a lot of products. You don't build a scalable business by developing 50 products. You develop a scalable business by building one product that is going to be a rocket and generate rocket level revenue. That's what generates business. That's what generates scalable business. So that's my one piece of feedback that I think I'm seeing here is you have a tendency of doing exactly that, is developing a lot of different services, but you have to identify which one's going to become your big money spinner.
Definitely insurance would be a big money spinner.
Then you need to figure out what is your insurance strategy, really drive through the customer acquisition of the insurance strategy and drive through the scalability strategy. And this principle that I just discussed is going to apply to all of you. I have seen so many businesses where people spend so much money developing, 15 products and none of them are selling at a serious revenue level. That is not the way to build a business. Focus, drive one product, achieve product market fit with one product and really drive it through to serious revenue. That's how you build a business. Good work.
Yeah.
Good luck. I can be fast forward through actually. All right, Ratan, you are up next. Hello? Yeah. Thanks.
Hello everybody, my name is Ratan. I am founder and CEO of Guide Ratna. Guide Ratna, it is an app-based platform. Hello.
You want to give?
Hello, my name is Ratan. I am founder and CEO of Guide Ratna. Guide Ratna, it is an app-based platform that where tourists.
You can adjust it.
Yeah, no problem. I have very big voice. If I want to throw my voice, it's even bigger.
So, Guide Ratna is an app-based platform that pair tourists with local tourist guides and guided experience in real-time live update. So, why we developed these solutions? For example, some Japanese came to Calcutta. He wanted to have a sightseeing. He needed Japanese-speaking local tour guide. It is very difficult to find out this kind of people. So my app will help you. So I developed an app. This is a platform, it's Android and iOS. And through this app, tourists can find out his preferred language tour guide, local guide, with some domain experience like cultural, can be heritage, etc. And also some local experience. How it will work? So if you open the app, it will show in Google Map how many tourist guides are available around him. For example, he is in some hotel, so within 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers, he will see how many tourist guides are available. He can tap it, he can see this background, like name, how far that people in sitting from hotel, his education experience, and also what kind of offering will do. This is some profile. Then if you like this person, the next is you can see his offering. He can offer cultural tour, he can offer some heritage tour, or he can show some local experience, very unique actually. So you can choose the package. Then next is some OTP, some message that your booking is complete, your guide in the way. And the tour guide, he is sitting maybe 4 kilometers away, he also get the message that somebody booked him, and he can call him, sir, which hotel are you? Or he can navigate to the Google Map. So when both meet each other, there is one OTP exchange, then actually real time start. So market size, normally travel and tourism is a very big market. In India, out of 10 employees, 1 related to travel and tourism. If you go to Western Europe, maybe 7. Out of 7, 1 related to travel and tourism. It's a very big market globally actually. And guide business is not so organized in India, but if you go to Japan, Korea, or Europe, or even America and Canada, tour guide are very well respected job actually. But in India, it's not so well respected. For go-to-market strategy, we're considering basically we're following 2 approaches. One is guided entry, and also partnering with different online platforms or Wayodoo, this kind of company. And 2019, our main focus is Odisha, West Bengal. So few cities in Odisha, West Bengal, Vishnupur, Bankura, Murshidabad, Kochbihar, and also Kolkata, and also in Odisha, Bhubaneswar and Pune. And next year we have some plan in Delhi, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and also Japan and China, and so on.
Ratan, can I have you ask you a few questions? So my first question is, what is the business model?
Business model basically is a commission. Like, so each transaction there is a 1,000 rupees, I'll take 20%. It is there somewhere.
So this is a critical piece of information that drives your market sizing. Go back to the market sizing slide. This,
Actually,
hold on. This is not your market size. This is a top-down, very 30,000 foot level assessment of the global travel and tourism market. That is not your market. Your market is a very small sliver of that market. $206 billion is definitely not your market. Your market is a function of your commission times how many transactions do you think can happen. That is your market. What is the total number of transactions of which you get the commission? That is your market. This is a gross overestimation of your
so
market.
20% my commission, that is my market actually.
No. You have to figure out how many people are likely to come to each of the geographies where you want to market your application. So let's take the example of Calcutta. I'm going to show you how to do this on the Calcutta geography, and you're going to have to apply it to Orissa and wherever else.
I help you with figure. For example, Victoria, every year 30 lakhs tourists come.
Yes, maybe.
Every day 10,000 if you
Maybe, but they're not all going to
Yes.
hire tour guides.
Yeah.
A very small percentage of the millions of people who
Yes.
will come to Victoria Memorial are going to hire tour guides. So what is that percentage? What is the assumption on that percentage? What is going to be the amount they're going to be paying? And what is the commission? That is your Calcutta market. Similarly, I'm sure you're targeting Konark, you're targeting Puri, whatever, but each of those have certain dynamics and you have to figure out what is a reasonable assumption. See, market sizing is never accurate in the sense that it's never going to be precise because you're not developing a market size model on the basis of actuals, it's a forecast. Market size is always a forecast, so you have to make assumptions, but you have to make assumptions that are reasonable and that are defensible, right? So if your assumption is that there are going to be 1 million visitors to Victoria Memorial, 100% of them are going to hire a tour guide, people will say, hey, this doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
So you have to come up with something that makes sense. So when you apply that model to your market size number, it's not going to be 206 billion, it's probably going to be, who knows, 20 million. I don't know.
Actually, 2020, this one is whole India actually.
I know.
Okay. So this is whole India actually, travel and tourism. Okay. So now actually, in guide business, there is no data. Okay. So there is no data actually. So I assume based on my own research, maybe 100 tourists, maybe one, they may like the tour guide. So this way I estimated. Even I did, I sitting in the
So do
Victoria.
you have a model? Have you developed a model?
Actually, I did this market validations. Means before coming to these solutions, I am sitting in Victoria many times. Okay, I did my interview with the tourist. actually.
Market validation and market sizing are not the same
different,
things.
yeah.
They're two different disciplines. Both of those disciplines you have to learn and you have to apply to your business, but they're two different disciplines.
Yes. But when I sitting in Victoria, I take the interview. So if I 100, maybe one they like.
Right.
Okay, so this way I estimated.
So now you have to develop a market sizing model. Because I think there's so the feedback that I'm going to give Ratan, as well as something that all of you should take away from, is what I was just saying is market validation and market sizing are one not the same thing. You have to learn how to do market validation and you have to learn how to do market sizing. And sometimes, which may or may not be the case in Ratan's situation, but it very well may be the case in one of your situations, when you do the market sizing, and then you assess, let's say market size comes out to be small, he's saying 1 out of 100 is interested. So that will slash the market down dramatically. So let's say your development cost for the product is X, and the market size is 2X. Then it will beg the question, is it worth doing this business? Right? There's not enough ROI. You are not going to put, crores, millions of dollars into developing a product if there's not enough ROI, if you cannot recover the money you're going to put in. So this is a question that I'm not clear. I'm not saying that your business doesn't have ROI. I'm asking you to go do the due diligence on this business before you sink a lot of money into developing this product. It's not clear to me that you should be developing this product and building this business. That's the conclusion that I want you to take away. And the action item, the homework I'm going to give you is to do the due diligence so that you can figure out that, yes, it makes sense for me to build this product and get into this business. Because it's going to take you 7 to 10 years to build a business, sometimes longer. You don't want to sink 7 to 10 years of your life into a business that doesn't have it's enough potential. Okay, go to the next presenter, Clicker. Yeah,
Thank you.
Gaurav.
Hi all, this is Gaurav Agarwal, a part of SMBA Consultants. I would like to actually start with a small story. A story of a person who actually hails from Murshidabad and he was actually working in Delhi for last 9 years. His mother is ailing, the mother is in Murshidabad again. The simple requirement of the mother is to meet his child. The kid is also wanting that I should be there with my mother to take care of her. So what we do, we have a requirement from a company. The company's name is Manyavar. Manyavar is looking for a person for a designer profile. They are looking for a person from any part of India who can relocate to West Bengal. Our recruiter gives a call to him asking that okay, there's a job opportunity in West Bengal. He's jumping. He's very happy because there is a job opportunity in West Bengal. So we process his resume, we send it to the client. Luckily he gets selected and he comes back to West Bengal, Kolkata. So the bright part is he's very happy now. His only thing is at least weekend I can go back to Murshidabad and meet my mother and take care of her. So that is where our role is as a consultancy. We connect the dots. We connect a candidate to a company. Okay? So we are a HR consultancy, the fastest growing HR franchisee we term it as. So let's start with the presentation. Our vision to be the most trusted partner for all the businesses. I know this is a big problem with most of the startups, small companies, big companies, to have a very good team in place. So that is where we actually feature in. We actually help the companies find the accurate manpower. What is our mission? Our mission is to provide HR solutions by building a reliable franchise network on a pan-India basis. Our future, I can see it, a network franchise in every state, 30 master franchises, 150 unit franchises, and 100 channel partners. Employment, if most of you must be following the politics as well, so everybody must be knowing that yes, the opposition tried to drag down the current by mentioning about the job issues, the employment issues. So employment is no doubt a very big problem in India. So any consultancy, the HR consultancy, that is how they help. They actually bring the candidate and give it to the company. Now why SMBA? As I already told you, there are many pain points of the businesses. They are not getting adequate manpower, quality manpower they are not having. They are lacking the reliability on a franchise network as well. Our competitors, the service providers, they do not have the geographical outreach. They are limited to one place only. They do not have a standardized process as well. So that is where they all fail. That is why SMB consultants try to rule out all these problems, the pain points of the industries. What is the solutions? The solution that SMB consultants present. We are connecting the roots, I have mentioned it time and again. Creating employment. Now, how do we create employment? If I talk about a homemaker, say a homemaker, Ms. Suma Vaidya, sitting in Bangalore, she is an HR professional. For 4 years into her marriage, before marriage she was working, but now due to her domestic responsibilities she cannot work. Right? She cannot step out of the home because she has a 1-year-old kid to take care. So what she can do? She can probably opt for a franchise of SMBA consultants. Homemakers, small businessmen with limited pocket size. They do not know the tricks and trainings of the business. What they can do is they can actually have a franchise of probably SMBA consultants and they can be their own entrepreneur. That is what we are doing, how we are creating the employment as well. Now, these are some of the solutions that we are providing through our network. I've already mentioned it, I don't want to repeat the same once more. What is the industry size? This is a ERA related data and facilitated by EY as well. The industry size is 35,000 crore in India and the franchising size in India is 3.5 lakh crores. Yes, So we are now connecting HR with franchise. So you can now imagine the kind of scope and the market size that business is having. Some more insights, 21% growth of this industry, and big players are also trying to invest in the same industry. The latest entrant in the market is Mr. Vijay Shekhar Sharma from Paytm, must be knowing here. The global market size, I don't want to go and bore you guys with the details how we got that data. There is a good example how we came across this data. The global market size is $40 billion. Because we all know, every startup, small kirana store, everyone needs manpower. So when they require manpower, they need a consultancy. Some of the competitors, Talent Corner, in more than 11 years they have 40 franchise units. Genext, 104, they all have some of the lows, okay? They are not having a standardized model. One of the cases which I would like to point out, like Talent Corner, the branch of Kolkata is now a partner of SMBA Consultants. So that says it all, that our model is much more standardized and better than our competitors. Globally, we have a competitor, Antel Recruitment Franchise Network. They established in 1992 and franchising since last 17 years. They are having 159 offices across 38 countries. Some of the lows which I would like to state, they are having the single association model. Their budget starts from 7.5 lakhs, wherein our model has got 1 lakh to 10 lakh flexibility. So somebody coming with a limited pocket size cannot actually afford Antel. Second is, they have a rule that they do not take anybody having less than 15 years of corporate experience. So what about others who are having less experience? They can jolly well join SMB Consultants. What is the growth plan? What has been our, when we started off, our first franchise unit started in Mumbai in August 2018. Till date, this is a June data. In August, we already have 25 units and so on and so forth. 2022, we are planning to have 100 franchise unit franchises going by the same pace. I'm pretty sure that we can achieve these numbers as well.
Gaurav, can I ask you some questions? Sure. So the first issue that I have with this presentation so far is I've been listening to you for what, 5-7 minutes already? I don't understand who's your client. You are projecting the entire HR market as your client, as your target market, but that's not true. So there's a niche that you're going after. Franchise is a delivery model. What is the customer pain point that you're solving, and who is that customer? Which niche are you going after? After 5 to 7 minutes into a presentation, almost 10 minutes into a presentation, I don't have an answer to this question. That's a problem.
Okay. There's one point out here, the choice of clients through thorough R&D. We have a list of industries, ma'am. Like we have pointers, some of them are manufacturing, retail. So whenever our BD team is actually hunting for their clients, we have our set, industries that we actually cater to. So it is not that, the whole universe is our client. So what, normally if I talk about any industry, say if I talk about an IT industry, if I say and go up to them and to the HR manager or to the owner, they will first ask is for the brand portfolio. So we will have to actually tell them that these are your competitors we have already worked for. That is only the entry point, and that is how we actually get an entry. So talking about the industries as a consultancy, we always need to specify that, okay, whenever a BD team goes, say they are approaching an optical store, so they will have to state that we are already working for Titan Eye Plus, Himalaya, and then only GKB Opticals will give us an entry. So ma'am, we have a specific industry sets as well, which we actually work for.
So two takeaways from that. Number one is you have to start with what industries are you targeting. Because it's a very crowded space, right? HR consulting is one of the most crowded spaces in the world. So you have figured out some niche where there is a gap. You have to clearly articulate where that gap is, what is the industry sectors that you're going after. Secondly, the TAM is a derivative of that. the total available market size is a derivative of which industry sectors, which niche, and where is really, it's not this like $200 billion TAM. There's a smaller, much more precise, much better defined TAM, which is a function of your target segment. You have to articulate all that because right now you're harping a lot on your franchise model and how many franchisees you have. And at some level, I'm sitting here and saying, I don't care how many franchisees you have. I want to know how many customers do you have. And what are those customers? What are the target customer segments? What is the size of this and the scope of that customer segment? And that is the business you're building. So yes, the franchisee is a differentiator. I didn't understand why a homemaker is going to take this franchise. What does that person bring to the table? Why is that important? But I've listened to you for 10 minutes about the franchising model, and it tells me, and my takeaway is that I think that's an incidental, that's an operational piece that comes later in the presentation. The front end of the presentation is missing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Sure.
Number of the clients, if I talk about, we have served close to 600 plus clients across 15 countries. So
Segments.
Segment wise, we have served retail, manufacturing.
Number one is retail.
Yes, ma'am. Number one is retail.
Okay.
Then manufacturing, then IT companies as well. Then also, I would say, yes, most of them are within these three segments.
Okay.
And other is quite a varied range of work. I would say, initially whenever you start, you cannot be too picky as well while selecting the client. It is more like, yes, ma'am. It is more like, whenever something is coming up, so let's take up.
It is true that you cannot be very picky, but at the same time, you have to understand what segments are particularly amenable to the kinds of service that you're providing. So whatever is particular, whatever is differentiated, whatever is unique about your offering, which segments have the maximum utilization for that kind of hiring? That has to be factored into your targeting strategy. So if it's retail, there must be a reason why it's retail. So you understand why it's retail. Your customer pitch needs to articulate why you are perfect for retailer hiring needs, addressing the hiring needs of retailers and so forth. So I think your presentation needs some reworking. And I'm just guessing that your business strategy also probably needs a bit of that reworking in terms of, again, it's the same thing as I said earlier. Where you're getting traction, where you're seeing product market fit, you need to go full throttle into that and not go broad. Yeah? Alright. Do you have any questions? Or should I move on? The good news is you have revenues. Okay. Have I gone too far? No, that's still SMBA. There we go. Venue. Prithviraj Dasgupta. Yeah? He's not here. That's not good. That's very bad. We had so many requests for slots. Getting a slot and not showing up is just not acceptable. Slides. Okay, here we go, Shayak Mitra.
Hello everyone, I am Shayan Chaudhary. I am representing Producers. So what is Producers is, have you ever imagined that unfortunately undergoing a major accident, you are unfortunately undergoing a major accident and something proved very fatal that you almost lost your arm. Okay. So ever felt like hopeless like the uncle or your neighborhood uncle who used to be a driver but can't walk anymore because he lost his arm in an accident? So ever felt helpless like that woman who used to work as a sweeper but has been forced to work out and lose his job due to losing his arm in an accident. So, want to end it? The answer is producers. So, according to 2011 census report, 26.5 million people are suffering from amputation. Every year, around 23,500 amputees are added to the amputee population, which is 0.6% of the total population. Of them, a major chunk of scenario comes from the rural areas where they doesn't get proper treatment or proper medication. 15 million out of 26.5 million amputees in India hail from these rural areas. Such big numbers. So why prosthesis? Providing a plausible solution for a decade-old problem by rendering equipment at a feasible price. Here feasible price means we are providing prosthetics at a minimum cost of 25,000 to 20,000, which is in our competitions, which our competitors sell them at 1.8 lakhs to 30 lakhs. So providing an easy interactions with human bodies as it is a body part only. Prosthesis doesn't need any kind of surgery or any kind of operation to use. So providing an affordable solution for all without the hassles of undergoing any kind of operation at all. So existing arms in the market are inadequate in sense and they provide only opening and closing feedbacks. So with prosthesis, our main target is to provide the amputees of rural India with a chance to live life normally like a normal human being. We will be dividing this big section into small parts and our initial target will be to reach at least 5% of our rural belt. So this is the business model of prosthesis. We have divided the business model in 3 different stages, where in stage 1 we have decided to conduct surveys in relevant towns and cities, procuring data and try to sell the patients directly with our sales team. So in stage 2, we have communicated with the doctors so that they can give suggestions about our product so that we can sell them directly to the patients. And in the stage 3, we have communicated with the hospitals and NGOs who are posted in rural areas and create camps and awarenesses about the product and making them familiar with our product. So we have currently 3 different kinds of product, which is Mark 1 product, which is the 3D printed structure, and this helps this is a 3D printed structure with a 6-degree movement, and this will help man to do every kinds of work like a normal human being, which cost around 25,000. And Mark 2 product, along with the basic features, we have already added LED screen which shows the battery life and all that, and mainly it is customizable. And Mark 3 product, which is under R&D, but the Mark 3 product is a customizable device.
So, go back one slide. Business model is not your game plan. Business model is how you make money. So there's a terminology issue here that you need to address. But what you're going through, what you're showing here is really a validation strategy. And that's a required, you need to go through this process. The process you're describing here of validating with the types of end users and customers, the types of medical service providers, you need to talk to them and figure out how you're going to go to market, what is the scope of the product and so forth. The one other missing piece in your validation strategy, the title of this slide should be validation strategy for prosthesis, not business model for prosthesis. So, but in the validation strategy, the missing piece here is the affordability issue. Let's say you are selling a product for 25,000 rupees. Which set of customers, which segment of customers can afford even 25,000? Maybe they can't afford 1.8 lakh product, but Can they afford a 25,000 rupees product? Who can afford a 25,000 rupees product?
In the starting. So in the starting of the R&D, we conducted surveys in some rural areas and villages. So we asked them directly, ki, this is the product and you wanna buy it for 25,000, and they are like, हाँ EMI में होगा तो ले लेंगे. So
Who is that? What is the profile?
basically, villagers like retailers and shopkeepers.
You have to learn to define a segment. So let me actually give you a quick tutorial on how to define a segment. So when you say they, who is they? What is the profile of the they? Right? A villager of what income level? A villager of what age group? Consumer marketing segmentation or any kind of segmentation requires that you parameterize the user, right? You need age, you need where, like where do you find these people? Where do they live? What is their lifestyle? What is the age group? What is their income level? All these parameters define who is going to be your target buyer. And you have to match whether this price point, like if somebody has a income level of 1,000 rupees a month, that person is not going to be able to afford this. So you have to find a demographic segment that will fit what you're trying to sell, and then you have to figure out how do you access that demographic. Right? Then comes the customer acquisition issue, the go-to-market strategy, the customer acquisition strategy. A rural person who can afford a $25,000 prosthetic, what is the income level that you need to target, and what is the lifestyle of that person? How do you reach that person? What are the doctors who are catering to that user?
Actually, we have figured it out. So if the person has 1,000 rupees of income, so we have connected with some banking websites and banking solutions. So they are ready to collaborate with us so that the person can take the product in just 200 rupees and he can give the rest by month by month.
Yeah. Well, you're saying you want to provide financing for the product, but anytime there's a financing involved, there's a credit check involved. Nobody gives you financing just like that. You all know how to buy cars, you know how to buy houses. It's the same thing.
Ma'am, that's their ma'am. ওখান থেকে তো বিজনেসটা স্টার্ট হচ্ছে।
Business start হবে না, business বন্ধ হয়ে যাবে। It will start, it will fall flat right at the beginning. If you don't think through the details of how to get a business off the ground, you will never succeed in getting. And I will always say that don't put roadblocks in front of you that are unnecessary roadblocks. Why do you have to go sell this to the rural customer of the poorest demographic? This is not the right target segment for this product. If you have a good product, if the right price point where you have enough margin to build this business is 25,000 rupees, then you better go find a segment that can afford to buy without financing. Financing is another roadblock. I don't want a financing roadblock right now. In your go-to-market strategy, financing roadblock should not exist. Not out of the gate. Maybe one day later on you can take that on, but to begin with you should just find this target segment that can afford to buy your product and not create additional roadblocks and additional risks. Even though entrepreneurship is supposed to be this celebration of risk, good entrepreneurs try to minimize risk. Your probability of success already is less than 1%. The biggest likelihood for you as an entrepreneur is failure. So you better take that into account and try to maximize your probability of success. Move your probability of success from less than 1% to maybe 2%. Don't put additional risk and additional roadblock on your path. There's no point. Right? Okay.
Mr. Prithviraj is
Okay.
just
Issue.
Should I go?
Yes, please come. We will roll back to your slides. Why are you late?
First of all, sorry for being late. I am coming from the factory actually where I am doing the research.
Okay.
process. It's very far. So yeah.
This is not your.
Yeah, just
Go back.
2 or 3 slides back.
What slides are you checking? Better?
Yeah,
Okay.
just from here you can start.
Okay.
So basically, hi all. So basically, I don't want to bore you people because I think 3 or 4 people have already spoken. So just to make things a little bit more interesting, the thing which I am doing here, or which my team is actually doing here. First of all, ma'am, it's an honor to meet you because I have been following you a lot on on the net and all. So I have read about you, I know about you. It's lovely to see you in front. So so what we are actually doing here is something which very few people in the world are actually thinking right now, and most of all have given up. The basic concept is what written there in the headline. It's hospital acquired infection. So what it is basically, suppose if 2 people are there in a hospital, OT or an ICU, we actually have a tremendous risk of being cross-infected by each other. Right. So if I am having influenza and suppose you are having swine flu or something, your swine flu will come to me, my influenza will go to you. So this particular concept has been stated by the World Health Organization as the biggest unsolved mystery that the entire medical sector globally is facing today. And as per their website, they say up to 88.9% of patients admitted to a hospital in India, they acquire infection from nearby patients. So if 100 people are admitted in a hospital, up to 89 people are infected from each other. The percentages are low in countries like US because there's something like 15 to 20% in higher income countries, but the situation is very worse in low income countries or middle income countries like India. Now basically due to lack of innovation, this concept has still been unsolved because people have not been able to innovate a particular product which is safe for patients to breathe, and at the same time it is killing the infections in between, so that my infection doesn't reach you. So what happens is, now first to begin with, our entire prototype has already been tested by NIOH South Africa, National Institute for Occupational Health South Africa, because I've been fortunate enough, because 3 or 4 years back when I was in engineering, I was invited to a few international conferences where they invited students who are dealing in innovation regarding health. So there I presented my topics. One of them was in South Africa, and there I got a few friends, enthusiastic friends. They took my prototype and they got it tested from their country. And after that things are moving quite well by God's blessing. So right now it is completely being tested, and as per their testing, they have seen that highly contagious viruses or bacteria like even tuberculosis, Ebola virus, they can completely be decimated. Okay, so this is one thing that we can start with.
What is the product?
The product is a simple, it's a simple bio-oxygen generator. It generates activated oxygen and a slight amount of negative ions. But the real, fun is there with the activated oxygen, because because this activated oxygen is basically very unstable. It will always try to go out of its stable state, and it will try to, hit those organic compounds which the infectious, bacteria is made up of. So when it is hitting those compounds, it is actually denaturing all the molecular formation, and it is killing the infection right away. So it's an instantaneous process. Now, this is all regarding the healthcare world. Now let me move into the domestic part where each and every one of our homes can actually have this kind of a product. Now what it is, as you can see, as you can also find on the net, we actually, drink only.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Why are we making this switch? You just described a very clean, crisp pain point, which is the hospital patient-to-patient infection. That's very powerful.
Thank you.
Why are we now thinking about going to a B2C? B2B was perfect. I was all ready to listen to your pitch on how you're going to go sell to all the hospitals in India, all the hospitals in Africa and everywhere else, and solve this problem. Why are we now going to B2C?
Maybe you can see it's all because of the money. Because
There is no, you haven't convinced me why there is money in B2C. B2B seems like the right way to go.
yeah, B2B is there, or hospitals are there, but because when we are actually going into this consumer market, we are actually dealing with those 7 billion people of the world. We are not dealing with only the patients or the hospitals. We are going directly into all the people who are.
Do you have any idea how expensive consumer marketing is?
I know, and that is why I'm here so that I can get some support from you of some sort, so that I can.
Okay, the first support you're going to get from me is go back to B2B.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So, okay, so that's.
Show me your B2B strategy. Do you have a B2B strategy?
Yeah, of course. Actually, there are many other interesting applications. I will go back to that. But just for you, I will just
Follow আমাকে just slide ছিল follow
yeah, because right now, since talking about B2B, we are in talks with certain brands like AC brands, domestic AC brands, and these refrigerator brands, these car companies. They actually have tested.
So what happened to the hospitals?
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. So they have actually, already, taken out prototype. They have tested those things everywhere. In their, cars or in their, domestic split type ACs and all. And they have seen that, more than killing the aerial bacteria, and it actually, not only it is actually decimating the cross-infection phenomena. What it uniquely does, it is actually increasing the aerial oxygen by percentage. So suppose we are living in a very, polluted environment. So God suggested that there should be 21% oxygen wherever we are. Okay. Due to the pollution, what is happening is the oxygen levels are decreasing because the impurity levels are higher. Okay. So that is why these oxygen levels are decreasing from 21. It has already gone through something like 19 or 18% in an indoor environment. So when we are actually keeping these machines in an AC or whatever, or even if it is portable device placed in one corner of a room or in our desk or whatever, the result of the reaction which is doing is it is increasing the oxygen by percentage. So that is what these consumer brands have been heavily interested about, and they have already asked me to do these kind of things. Like they have asked me, can you manufacture these, like something like 3 lakh sets per month? And I said, of course I can, but I need the financial support to make these plastic dies and these warehousing things, the entire area of bulk manufacturing, which I don't have right now. So this is one point of roadblock or challenge which I am facing right now. So this is regarding the B2B consumer market. Regarding the B2B for hospitals, obviously inside India I have here in Salt Lake only there is Shastro Bhavan. I have approached the director there, and they are trying to test the prototype. The prototype is already there with them. They are trying to test it, and they are starting from. I have not gone to the central government till now for Indian hospitals. Till now I have focused on the West Bengal state only.
So my assessment of what you're saying, I don't know if your technology works or not. I'm assuming it does because you're telling me it does, to be verified. But if you have a working solution that can impact hospitals, I would go to private hospitals. Not government hospitals, not public hospitals. I would go to private hospitals and go get advance. So figure out a contract structure where with 50 hospitals, 50 private hospitals, do a product market fit validation. You explain to them what you can do for them, what kind of impact you can have on their situations. I think they will love it. You're going to have to prove that you can make it work. You have to create a pilot strategy, a paid pilot. They will do a paid pilot. If this is a big enough problem, they will do a paid pilot. They'll probably give you advance with which to manufacture your thing. Your cash flow problem will get solved. Don't go futz around with all these different segments where it's a more complicated product market fit. The hospital product market fit is very obvious and it's brilliant actually. If you indeed can solve this problem I see no problem building this business, at least for the next 5 years, purely focused on the hospital segment and not worry about anything else. That's my assessment of how I would build a business.
Now, ma'am, first of all, what you said is really, had come to our minds as well in the beginning. But the thing, what we faced, because what happens is in private hospitals, they are not, basically there for the betterment of health. They are there to make money, right? In the private hospitals. Now, if I go to a private hospital, even if they have the results, okay, they have the results that due to this, cross-infection or HAI, these are called HAI, hospital-acquired infection. They know that, these many people are dying or these many people are getting affected due to HAI, but they will not reveal to you. Because if they reveal, it's a matter of, goodwill for that hospital. So they will never say that.
Very bad publicity.
Yeah, it's a bad publicity for them. So they will never say that, or they will never, accept that, okay, in my hospital these things happen. Right? So what is the challenge that we are having right now is, these private hospitals are actually, telling us that, okay, you have done this thing, that's very good, you have given us an international report, I can show you the report also. You have given us this report and all, everything is perfect, that is fine. But first of all, there are two things. Our hospital doesn't have this phenomenon. It's a blatant lie. But the government hospitals will never say that to you. Okay, but this director at Shastra Bhavan, he has never told that to me. He knows that this thing happens and he is very supportive. Because
What about all the other hospitals? How many hospitals have you talked to? How many private hospitals have you talked to?
maybe, I've talked to this CMRI, I have talked to this, this Bellevue there in there. I have talked to that, this Apollo I have talked to.
Whom have you talked to?
The infection control department. And I've been in touch with the one of the owners from each hospital as well. So regarding this private sector, there is a bit of, I think the process is a bit lengthy because there are a few challenges regarding this
Enterprise sales are always linked.
Right.
Enterprise sales are always linked.
So that is what, I need this, expert advice from you, because what I am actually doing, what we are actually doing right now, we are just.
So this is a very valid point that enterprise sales are always lengthy, and if you're trying to build an enterprise business, you have to navigate this long sales cycle. But talking to 5 hospitals is not enough. You have to navigate probably 50 hospitals and find which one is ready to buy. That's point number 1. Point number 2 in enterprise sales is whom do you talk to is really important. If you talk to a junior manager who's in charge of infection control, that person may not have the budget. So you have to figure out who owns the budget, who is capable of making the decision to buy your product. All of these are important pieces that you have to figure out in your enterprise sales strategy. And it's very complicated. If you have never done this before, actually enterprise sales is quite complicated. But I think that's really where you're going to find your success. If you can find the first, second, and third hospital that is interested in buying your technology, I think that's where you're going to find your success. What I find interesting in your air conditioning question, potentially negotiating with an air conditioning company, find an air conditioning supplier to hospitals.
Right.
Go through them, and maybe that can be a value-added service where the air conditioning company has the relationship with the hospital already, they understand the purchase cycle and so forth, and you can piggyback on that and go into that. But don't discard the hospital sector. Your value proposition is so powerful in the hospital sector. You have to figure out how to sell and how to navigate that sector, but that is your business, I think. That's my assessment.
Shubha, can I add a point?
Yes.
There is
Please, sir.
an interesting opportunity to go through facility management companies. Because facility management company will not only take you to the large hospitals, but they can also take you to all the other places you want to go in.
So actually,
And
sir,
it's one entry point, and then you get to everywhere, and they sell for you, and that's a differentiator for them.
Actually, sir, there we have contacted DLF. This DLF
This is not a facility management company.
Okay, this JLL and CBRE, JLL, these are.
CBRE is. And you need to talk at a very different level. You have to understand whom do you talk to, who is in
Whom do
charge
you
of
talk to?
revenues.
Very
They all are struggling with new revenue options, right? So they all want new revenues. And your product can give them new revenue. Maybe they will buy from you for 1 rupee but sell for 10 rupee, but they will still buy from you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
doing something very interesting. I hope you figure out the rest of the pieces to bring it to market.
Thank you. It's up to you, ma'am, whether, I'm just here to, just to, just to have some, just to have some, expert advice, because I'm not, we don't have a team having people of 10, 15 people of very,
Okay, go sit down. I will explain how to
Thank you.
get to me.
Shubha, can we have one more?
Do we have more?
One more. Can
Sure.
we have one more?
Yeah. You don't have slides, right?
Yes, have this slide.
Okay, you figure it out how to write your slides. Actually, here's your. You can register to pitch on my Maureen will help you. So if you go to the website, they have all the standards.
Hello, good evening everybody. Myself Hemant Agarwal. I'm the founder of Gemite. We are basically world's first jewelry e-commerce SaaS platform. How many have you heard about Shopify? So it is like we are a platform specific to jewelers. Why only jewelers? Because we have identified some of the problems in the industry. Like I was into the service sector for last 6 years. So we had some clients who were regularly facing issues when going online. So what their problems were? First of all, most of them are into like traditional jewelry business, like 50 years, 60 years. So they lack technical knowledge because at the very young age they enter into the business and start with it. So the lack of technical knowledge is the one problem they have. Then even if some manage to go online, they face struggle like by maintaining product information. Like if you go to jewelry stores, they simply say like this much gold it is, this much weight, this is the stone weight. But they don't maintain that information properly. Only details are maintained for costing purpose, not for e-commerce ready purpose. Then there are too many marketplaces. Like nowadays everybody wants to sell on Amazon, eBay. So to sell on each platform you have specific criteria. Like if you say gold, metal gold. So Amazon has this different way of accepting the gold value. eBay has a different architecture. So this is one point. Then the inventory manage. If you are selling a product on multiple channels, then the problem comes with the inventory part. How you will manage your inventory. Suppose you have 5 products, 5 quantity of single product on Amazon, 2 on eBay. So that comes up to 7 products in total, 7 item quantity. Now, if one of the items gets sold from eBay, how you get to know? Like you just have 6 products left. So we have identified that problem as well and have solved it. Now, these are the current scenarios that I was talking about. Like the main problem is the inventory management, which they have to do manually. Like they have to keep track. Like on Amazon, how many I sold it out. Then they have to manually manage their ERP and less down the quantities. So our solution is like we provide them with a complete jewelry specific backend, and we have all the data and the masters pre-fit. So what type of rings you have, how many metal colors, how many stones, types, carats, everything is there. So all you need to do is just to sign up with us and get started right away. Then we have like systematic step-by-step process with validation tool to ensure data entered are correct. We have a robust validation tool where if you enter in the wrong value, system suggests you that this is not the correct value and you need to correct it by putting the recommended values.
Yeah.
Plus we have the audit team who basically on the onboarding process audits the company data and helps them build data as well. Then we have the jewelry specific marketplace extension which allows listing of products on multiple marketplaces without the need of any knowledge. So once you enter product in our platform, all you need to do is with just one single click, you can publish it on Amazon, eBay or any other marketplaces without the need of any technical knowledge. System automatically assigns values based on the backend that we have. Then we also have a facility to connect, like if you are using any accounting software like QuickBooks, for example. So we can connect your QuickBooks with our system where the automatic invoicing as well as the inventory management is done. So if you sell, say 2 pieces on Amazon, the system automatically sends it to our backend, and from our backend, we can notify to QuickBooks 2 pieces have been sold out. So it's like automatic inventory management, and there is no back order. We are like a SaaS application, and customer we bill basically on monthly and annual basis. like our target audience are jewelry retailers, wholesalers, loose diamond dealers, gemstone dealers. The market size, like there are over like 5 lakh jewelry companies globally, and the majority of them are in the US, India, Hong Kong, Europe, Dubai, and Australia. At this moment, we are targeting USA and India as well. This is like
What are you charging? What's the SaaS pricing?
it's $299 per month for the B2B and the B2C sites. Like, and if you go for that marketplace extension, then it's $449 per month.
$229.
Yeah,
Alright.
$299.
$299.
This is the marketing approach. We are like going to promote ourselves via digital marketing, jewelry trade shows, like especially popular in US like JCK Las Vegas one, Hong Kong jewelry show in September. Then we will have like inside sales team. These are like we are looking to onboard basically 100 customers, and since beta launch we have generated an estimate revenue of like USD 20,000. And these are all the revenue options: digital marketing, image retouching, content writing, custom theme, mobile app for the B2B and this side.
What is your current monthly revenue run rate?
We are making around USD 2,000 every month.
2,000 every month. And what does the pipeline look like? How many? You said you have about 5 customers
Yeah.
right now. So how many do you have in the pipeline?
We are like looking for more than 2 and 3 more clients.
Looking for? What about
Means we are
pipeline?
already working with them. So like
They're
we
in
need
pilot?
to- yeah. It's
Okay.
pilot, like follow up and like meeting with them and these things are.
And what has generated these customers? How have you gone?
It's like basically direct approach.
So you identified names of companies and then approached them
Like in
directly?
Kolkata we are like working with Nemichan basically, and we are also going to work with Saval Suka. We have already provided them with the design and the ideas. Like a couple of more companies. Plus in US we are working with Oriental Gemco, Nigam, Shop Chemistry, Joy and Rachel. These are
Okay.
like some of our early clients, so whom we have started working with. So like after development we have started with this client and we are refining the product. It is complete.
Okay. I like it. What are you stuck with? What do you need help with?
Like currently we are looking for more basically some sort of funding so we can like enter into the market for marketing purpose.
So $2,000 MRR is a little bit early from what investors are looking to fund. If you can get it up to, ideally if you can get it up to 40,000 MRR, funding is relatively easy. It's not impossible. It's not impossible to fund this company. So I'll be happy to look at it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So folks, what I'm going to tell you is. Based on what I've seen here, you're all working on interesting ideas. There is a tendency to boil the ocean, which is a very common tendency in entrepreneurs. It's a very common tendency in Indian entrepreneurs especially. You want to do so many different things. And frankly, when I started as an entrepreneur, I had that tendency too. I wanted to do this, and I wanted to do that, and I wanted to do this. But those are very good pipe dreams. If you want to build a business, you have to be very disciplined and very, very focused. That's the only way you're going to succeed in building a really successful business. So, think about use cases. Whatever software you're trying to build, whatever sector you're getting into, what is the use case that really has product market fit, that really has market pull, so that you can get in front of a customer and the customer wants to buy. In general, you may have 16 different use cases, but try to find the one use case that has real velocity. Those of you who are doing generic services, some of you are doing, I talked to some of you earlier, you're doing generic services, try to get down to as much specifics as possible. So, there are some trends going on in the industry right now. If you're doing mobile software development, for instance, you're building a mobile software services company, It's very difficult to build this company, right? Because everybody and their mother is doing this. You go on Upwork, you're trying to find clients. There are 50,000 or more, probably, 500,000 mobile software developers. How are you going to get clients? This is where specializing, coming up with specific offerings is very helpful. I'll give you an example. There are some platforms out there, mobile software development platforms that have the full stack already built in, and then you can develop on top of that platform so that when people are trying to get a very fast time to market with a very comprehensive stack. OutSystems is a Portuguese company based in Lisbon. They have the full stack of mobile development. You come on top and you rapidly do OutSystem development, you plug into the OutSystem ecosystem, you get leads from OutSystem, and then you can build a business. And that's just one example, Salesforce.com. There are a lot of people who have built businesses on top of Salesforce.com, applications on top of Salesforce.com. So come up with one strategy that has a lot of built-in traction, a lot of built-in go-to-market strategy, a built-in lead generation. Lead generation is really important. So, just some generic pointers. I'm very accessible. You probably, if you know the 1 Million by 1 Million website, you know that we have free weekly roundtables. What we did today with 6 companies, we do week after week after week. So you can come and get feedback. You wanted a slot, you didn't get a slot. I'll be happy to work with you next week at the free roundtable. Any of you who requested a slot today and didn't get one, please just go sign up online and I'll work with you online in one of the upcoming roundtables. Beyond that, if you decide that you want to work with me, you can always join 1 Million by 1 Million. We have a 1 Million by 1 Million basic where you learn methodology. You can learn it at your own time. It's just $99 a month. Learning curriculum. Basically, what I'm observing in a lot of your cases is there are major gaps. What I call our curriculum is a bit of an entrepreneurship MBA. It's a mini entrepreneurship MBA, highly compressed, highly pragmatic. And you just learn all the things that you need to learn. Definition of bottom-up TAM analysis. Every one of you need to learn this. If you don't know this, that's a problem, and you should fix this right away. You should go learn how to do bottom-up TAM analysis. Most often, entrepreneurs come up with top-down TAM analysis, and that's useless. Top-down TAM analysis is a useless piece of exercise. You go flash on your slides, $205 billion market. No one does a $205 billion market. A $205 billion market is not a credible number. You have to do a bottom-up TAM analysis. You have to learn how to do a TAM model that is credible and defensible. That's the only way. Especially if you have designs on raising money, you have to understand these things. So the curriculum-only option of 1 Million by 1 Million is one way. There are many other ways, but it's one way to plug your methodology gaps. And you have to plug your methodology gaps. The second thing is, if you want the full acceleration program from 1 Million by 1 Million, join 1 Million by 1 Million Premium. And that gives you access to our curriculum, that gives you access to weekly mentoring, which is exactly what you saw here today. We do that online on a weekly basis. You can attend every single session, and you have access to me on a regular basis. That's a 1-year, $1,000 annual membership fee, renewable. There is no expiration date. In 1 Million by 1 Million, there is no expiration date. As far as I remember, Abhishek, you were in the program for 3 years or something. Yeah, long time back. But it's not a 3-month program. It's not even a 3-year program. If you decide, we have a tremendous Rolodex. 1 Million by 1 Million today has one of the most powerful Rolodexes in Silicon Valley. So if you want to access that Rolodex, as long as you're part of the program, you have access to that Rolodex. Investors, if you get to a point where you are fundable, within an hour I can introduce you to 30 investors. But there's a big if. Unless you're ready, I cannot send you to these investors. The reason these investors work with us is because they expect that I will do the due diligence before sending you over to them. So I can't send you over if you're, wishy-washy. You can't come to me with a wishy-washy situation and expect that I will send you to investors. I will not. I will work with you to fix your situation, to get you to a point where you may be fundable, and which at that point I will introduce you, but not before. So don't join 1 million by 1 million with the expectations that you're going to be introduced to 300 investors right away. Yes, I know 300 investors. I know a lot more than 300 investors, but I can't send you to them until you're ready. And then we have a lot of clout in the media. So if you're looking for exposure, that's something we can do a lot with, just because we're quite influential in the media right now. So if you decide that you want to work with 1 million by 1 million, by all means, come join the program. We are not for everybody. You have to be self-motivated. Spoon feeding is not what happens at 1 million by 1 million. I hate spoon feeding. So as long as you're capable of being very rigorous with the study, there's a lot of studying involved. You have to be able to study and learn, and I will give you homework. So you come and show me something, a piece of work, right? Let's say you're working on your positioning. I'll work with you on your positioning. I'll give you homework. You have to do that homework to be able to come and iterate with me in the next rev. Otherwise, I will not be able to impact your business. So the ones that do really well in 1 million by 1 million, we've been around for almost a decade now. We've built some very interesting companies, very, very successful companies. We've had exits. We have, lots of venture financing. But the ones who do well are the ones who are capable of studying, processing feedback, coming back and iterating, and really using the program heavily. You are very welcome to use the program heavily. It's like a gym membership. We'll give you the machines. You have to do the work. Just by subscribing and paying the subscription fee, you don't lose weight, right? You have to get on the machines and run and do the treadmill and all of that. So you're most welcome to join the program, and I'll come to Calcutta. I'm from Calcutta, as you know, so I come to Calcutta pretty often. I'm sure we'll do other things together. Abhishek and Alok are already planning TiCon in January, so I hope to see you again soon.
One question with regards to the premium membership. So is it the amount payable upfront, or is it in installments over a month?
No. The basic is in monthly. The basic is $99 a month. The premium is $1,000 annual membership fee payable right away. When you join, you have to pay it.
I have a question. Like in my startup, I face a problem creating customer persona. As you were talking about something. So you don't get ready data as we get in the US. You approach.
You don't get ready data about customer persona in the US. That's a misconception. You have to create your customer persona by understanding the customer.
We tried a lot, and we thought that still the sample size is too less. Like talking to 200, 300, 500 people.
Bring me the full pitch next week at the round table, and I'll work with you, and it's hard for me to work in the abstract. It's much easier for me to look at your business, look at your situation, and give you precise feedback. It's harder to work.
Okay, I have it ready with me now. I can make it next week.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you don't have time now.
Well, now I'm going to family. So.
That's more important.
Well, I've spent a lot of time with you, right? Anybody else before we wrap up?
One question. This gentleman had presented, I think the second slide, there was a term GMV, gross merchandise.
Gross merchandise value.
It's something that is being discussed in Indian ecosystem quite frequently now.
Yeah.
Can you just elaborate your views?
Of course. So, when you, let's say eBay, take the example of eBay. On eBay, there's a lot of transactions that are happening. eBay's revenue is not the transaction, it's the total value of the transactions that's happening. eBay's revenue is the commission of those transactions. But the total value of the transactions that are happening on eBay is their gross merchandise value.
So will the Indian investor look at the GMV, or
they will look at both. One is a function of the other.
Because based on GMV, the revenue will come.
The revenue is a function of the GMV.
And this is for online business, GMV is the main issue.
GMV is very important. For online business, GMV is very, especially if it's a marketplace business. Marketplace is a very popular business model, but GMV is very important.
I have a question as well. So I'm curious to know, what's your suggestion to the entrepreneurs in finding the product market fit? How should they go about with that process, and what are your guidelines? You know,
Depends
and-
on it's B2B or B2C. In the case of B2B, I always advise our entrepreneurs to position first, figure out the segmentation, and then find 100 businesses that fit your segmentation and then go talk to them. Immerse yourself in talking to customers and understanding what their point of view is, what is their reaction to your value proposition.
And in case of B2C,
B2C depends on the business. B2C
like
depends
let's
on the
say travel.
business. Travel. You have to talk to consumers and understand. You have to create the persona of the kind of consumer you want to go after, and then talk to those kinds of consumers, understand the buying cycle, understand the triggers, the buying triggers. You know, consumers tend to want everything for free. So what is the buying trigger? Whether you have a business or not, depends on whether somebody is willing to pay for it or not.
So would you say the basic trigger would be their pain points? Do we start off with their pain points?
Yes, but it's more sophisticated than that. The buying trigger is several orders of magnitude more complicated to figure out than just the pain point. There may be a pain point, but they may not be willing to
Buy your
pay.
product.
Yeah, and then you don't have a business.
And according to you, which kind of businesses, or when do you say a business is ready for funding? What kind of business should actually look for funding, and what kind of business or venture should refrain from, getting funding and rather
If you don't have a clue of how your business is going to go from 0 to 100 million in 5 to 7 years, you shouldn't go for funding. That's the bottom line. There are many, sub-bullets to that answer, but that's the bottom line. Is unless you have a clear understanding of how you're going to go at a very high velocity rate from 0 to 100 million in 5 to 7 years, you should not go for funding.
You're saying 0 to 100 million, that's the revenue you're talking about.
Revenue. Well,
every other day it comes to the news that there are many startups, like tech startups, who are actually having no sales at all, or very few sales, but they are raking in something like a few millions of dollars in seed funding, as they say. So what is the basic criteria that these investors, the angel investors, are actually focusing on?
yeah. So those kinds of fundings are rare actually. It's not every other day that's happening. Those are rare financings. But that happens if there's a very strong team with a very strong domain knowledge. So if it's, what's a good example? So if it's like say, I think there's a team out of Flipkart that was doing logistics at Flipkart. Came out and
IND Wealth is the latest example. Ashish Kashyap.
yeah.
3
So-
days back, he raised 15 million from Tiger Global. They have not even started earning revenue.
Tiger Global is one of the one of the firms that is really corrupting the Indian market big time. Tiger Global has spread so much money into this industry with so little attention to fundamentals. If you talk to VCs, they're, more fundamentals oriented VCs, everybody's fed up with Tiger Global. So, okay, so much for today. I hope you had a productive session.
Yes,
Thank you, ma'am. Very insightful indeed. I would like to call upon our Vice President, Mr. Deepak Dattani, to hand over a small token of membership.
Monojita. Monojita.
Thank you, Shamana. Thank you so much. I think, from an email to this creation of this program is a great journey, a very quick journey. And thank you so much for being here and helping all of us. Thank you, Shamana. And for all of you at TIE, I think there are 3 programs coming up. So be ready for that on 4th. 4th, we have a round table on cloud architecture. I know it may not be useful for everyone, but anyone who is struggling with their cloud infrastructure and planning how the cloud should be structured, how to use the cloud services, you can join. It's a round table, so there are limited seats. If you book, you have to come, right? So please only book if you are coming. Then on On 13th, we have a clinic. This means that that's a one-to-one consultation on your business model, on your problem statement, where you are getting stuck. Please be as specific as you can. You have to book it in advance and you have to come. If you are booking it, you can write to Thai Secretariat to book that clinic. It's a one-to-one session, 15 to 20 minutes each of you in privacy to understand your business model problems and give basic relevant suggestion on the area where you are stuck. And on 14th, we have got a workshop, which is a workshop like this, which is on OKR, which is objective key responsibilities based management structure. So how companies plan and execute strategy. It's a very interesting workshop that's going to come on 14th. So 14th. So please register for that, and if you wish, you can please attend that. Thank you so much.
All three are in September, yeah. Friends, we have refreshments, so you're welcome to do some networking, like you are having some snacks.